Hey there everybody, welcome back to another episode of Words of Paradise. I am your host, Leon Idle, and today we're going to talk about everyone's favorite Disney Star Wars. There's been an article that has come out from Giant Freaking Robot, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. But before we do, please like, comment, subscribe. Your viewership would mean the world to me, and frankly, I just like talking about Disney Star Wars and how much it pisses me off. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's take a look at this. Boba Fett star wants the character to make a major change. Boba Fett star Temuera Morrison wants the infamous bounty hunter to return to his villainous ways, as he should. And for those of you that don't know, Temuera Morrison has been as outspoken as you can be against Disney's take on Boba Fett. Without, coming out right and saying too much negative things to get fired. Which, I can understand and appreciate. Would I like a more hardline stance to be taken? Yeah, of course, who wouldn't? By the same token, I also like Temuera Morrison in the role, and I want him to continue. I just want to continue with the character intact. The actor made the revelation during a Mandalorian cast interview with Entertainment Tonight. Speaking about the fate of his character, whose story remains unfinished, he said, "We've got to bring him back. We've got to see the old Boba Fett. I think it's time to get him back to his badass ways," he told the publication. And that's fair. Now, a lot of people have made the arguments like, oh, Boba Fett had no character development, but, Disney Star Wars fanboys hate Rey. And the thing is, in the original trilogy, Boba Fett wasn't really a character. He was kind of an accessory. Like, we were told he was a badass by how all the characters reacted to his presence. We never really saw him do anything cool. I mean, we just kind of saw him die. Die. Yeah, he took Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. Yeah, he whipped out his gun when the disguised Leia pulled out the thermal detonator. I mean, but we even get nods to his ruthless efficiency when Vader pulls him aside and he's like, no disintegrations. Boba Fett clearly has a reputation. Now, if you've read the Extended Universe books, the EU novels, we do get to see Boba Fett as a badass, both in the past and the future. I mean, he literally trains Han and Leia's daughter as a badass, let me tell you. So I think that getting Boba Fett back to those roots, I think it's a great idea. Disney wiping the canon was a huge mistake. It left us with this piss poor Boba Fett cosplay, and that's not the actor's fault. I think Temuera is completely correct here. Let's keep reading. While the 61-year-old believes the show has the scope to revisit the Boba Fett story, it's largely out of his control. "I'll just see what happens," Morrison explained. The second season of The Mandalorian saw the long-awaited return of the bounty hunter, with Temuera Morrison returning to the role. He previously played his father, Jango Fett, in the Star Wars prequel movies. He also dubbed over some Boba Fett lines for the, special editions and whatnot, which I get a lot of folks were upset about, but for consistency's sake, I didn't mind. I mean, once it was revealed that Boba Fett was technically just a clone of Jango Fett, I liked the dub over for consistency. The bounty hunter then goes on a parallel journey after teaming up with mercenary Fennec Shand in the Book of Boba Fett, which was garbage! The hottest of garbage. Arguably Disney Star Wars' worst product. I mean, it's right up there with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Basically anything that isn't The Force Awakens or Season 1 of The Mandalorian or Rogue One. I've heard Andor's good. I've not watched Andor, and honestly, I probably will eventually, but I'm so burned on Disney Star Wars that no matter how good people say it is, it's probably going to take some time for me to get to it. I hope it's as good as I've actually been hearing, even from other fabled Disney Star Wars haters like Critical Drinker. But yeah, for now, I just don't care. I'm done. Instead, the Book of Boba Fett took a unique approach. Sure, we'll use the word unique. Took the unique approach of telling the character's story in a series of flashbacks after he fell into the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. This was not the direction fans and Morrison were hoping to see. While he did have a few badass moments in his solo outing, they were few and far between. Hopefully that will change when the bounty hunter turned crime... It's probably supposed to say turned crime lord, eventually appears in the Star Wars universe. While Boba Fett's story remains paused, The Mandalorian is set to continue on March 1st, 2023. The third installment will see Pedro Pascal return as Din Djarin, with Carl Weathers, Giancarlo Esposito, and Katie Sackhoff reprising their roles as Greef Karga, Moff Gideon, and Bo-Katan Kryze. Christopher Lloyd has also joined the series in an undisclosed guest starring role. But of course, you don't bring back Gina Carano, literally, in my opinion, the best character in Mandalorian. Cara Dune was just, she was awesome. Rey, people talk about how Rey's got character development. She's a strong female character. Star Wars fans don't like strong female characters. Bitch, I love Ahsoka Tano. I love Gina Carano as Cara Dune. Even if they recast her, which, I mean, I don't want them to do. I think Gina deserves her job back. We all know that'll never happen. But let's say they just recast her and keep the character going. Maybe have Ronda Rousey play her. Man, wouldn't that be a slap in the face to Gina? But like bring the character back, because that's a strong female in Star Wars. Star Wars has always had strong females. We don't need them to be these OP messes of characters like Rey was. Gina Carano, Cara Dune, was fantastic. So the fact that I'm never going to get over that. I know this is supposed to be about Boba Fett, and I'm here ranting about my girl Gina. But anyway, point is, look at all these people they're bringing back, but not her. That's bullshit. Anyway, back to this. Set after the events of the Book of Boba Fett, the story follows Din Djarin as he travels back to Mandalore to restore his reputation as a Mandalorian. Disney released a trailer for the new installment at the D23 Expo this year. Wow, really? I didn't even know they released a trailer for... I'm normally up on Star Wars stuff. That's how little I care nowadays. Like, I didn't even know D23 released a Mandalorian Season 3 trailer. That is sad. I mean, granted, Season 2 was okay at best. I really wasn't a fan of it, but it was still leaps and bounds better than the 8th and 9th films. But yeah, again, I don't care. The clip set up the big conflict on Djarin's home planet while hinting at storylines from the ever-popular Star Wars Rebels. Yeah, that is one thing that I saw recently, is that Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is literally my favorite villain in all of Star Wars history. I actually haven't seen Rebels. I've read the Thrawn trilogy. I've read the recent Chiss Ascendancy trilogy. I've read comics upon comics. Like, I get it. People love Darth Maul. People love Emperor Palpatine. Thrawn is my favorite Star Wars villain. Thrawn will always be my favorite Star Wars villain. And while it will be great to see him in the Ahsoka series and Mandalorian Season 3 and whatnot, I hope, just with the way Disney writes, I don't know if they will be able to contend with what has been done in the books. I mean, you really better have Timothy Zahn, which is the creator and writer of the Thrawn stuff, on your on your payroll when you're making these. Timothy Zahn, in fact, Timothy Zahn has the ability, in my opinion, to be the Ian Flynn of the Star Wars universe, at least when it comes to Thrawn. Now, Thrawn's his baby. He's always done Thrawn right. For those of you that don't get the Ian Flynn reference, Ian Flynn is the one that came in and fixed the Sonic the Hedgehog games, the most recent movie, the whole nine. His run on the comics has been gorgeous. We need a Timothy Zahn, or we need an Ian Flynn for Star Wars, and I think that could be Timothy Zahn. I'm tired of Filoni. I get why people love him. And there was a lot of good that came out of Filoni, but I think he's going the way of Taika Waititi, in that he is being left unchecked and we're getting dog shit out of it. Filoni is a lot like Lucas, that a great idea guy, but if you let them run unchecked, they're going to run into some problems. People need to just really reel them in at times. Filming began in 2021 with David Klein serving as the cinematographer. Production was initially expected to begin once filming the Book of Boba Fett wrapped, but since the Obi-Wan Kenobi crew was using the Los Angeles sound stages, those plans were delayed. Fortunately, Esposito didn't need to wait for Pascal to complete filming HBO's The Last of Us, since The Mandalorian is mostly seen with his helmet on. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pedro Pascal, how often is it body doubles? He's sitting there complaining that he doesn't get to have his mask off enough and show his face. Like, dude, that's part of the character. Move on. There's not a lot about Boba Fett in this Boba Fett article, and that's bothering me. Like, I want to know what Tamura Morrison said. I want to know what he thinks. I want to hear what his ideas for getting Boba Fett back to his roots are. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Katie Sackhoff first promoted the new installment of The Mandalorian at Lucasfilm's Star Wars Celebration panel in May 2022. They revealed the first teaser to those in attendance and returned for a panel for the series and the Book of Boba Fett, alongside with Pascal Esposito and Weathers' deadline reports. Yeah, so that's the end of it. It effectively gave us nothing. Of course, it's giant freaking robot. Another clickbaity article. I mean, we got a little bit here in the beginning. I would have saved this for the end to keep the reader, hooked, but whatever. I guess just blow your load in the beginning. But yeah, Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett was not Boba Fett. Is there character development? I guess technically, like by the technical sense of the word, there is character development, but I'm sorry, that sort of character development was not the sort of development that Boba Fett as a character should have gone through. It was not fitting of his character. It was soft. You see that you hear that Boba Fett's going to be a crime boss, and you're expecting some shit, and instead we get this sad old Boba Fett walking around asking for help, not doing shit, not flying up when people have him, even though he's got a jetpack, when he's surrounded. Have some of the worst car chases, Vespa chases in Star Wars history, some of the worst flight scenes. It was truly an abysmal show, and that's not Tamura's fault. He does great with the character. In Mandalorian Season 2, he did great with the character. He felt like Boba Fett. So why could we not get more of that? I don't know who wrote Book of Boba Fett. I mean, it didn't seem like Filoni, but maybe it was. All I'm saying is I agree. Get Boba Fett back to his old ways. He doesn't necessarily have to be a bad guy, but he at least needs to be morally gray, kind of a hard ass, and show that even at his age, he can fucking kick it. But that's about where we're at with this. I'd say that time will only tell if we get Boba Fett as we're supposed to. And I'm okay if we never do, because I'm okay with Disney Star Wars never making another Star Wars project, program, whatever. Obviously, we know they're going to, so if they keep coming back to these legacy characters, treat them with the respect that us fans deserve. Other than that, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter @BoltTheWord, and I will see you guys next time on Words of Paradise.